I think part of my training came with a gift. One of the things is I used to work with Nautilus. When they first started, they were out of Ohio. Arthur was the father's name, and then his son took over. But they would call me. I worked for Fort Harrison, Indiana. I worked with the government, and I was the trainer. 1988, I was the one who trained a lot of the Olympic athletes for the Pan Am Games in Indianapolis. I got certified by Nautilus to teach how to use their equipment when I worked for the military. I went down there, got a chance to use their equipment and talk to them a little bit. They said, "Hey, why don't we have you come back to do some things with us?" So I kind of worked with them when they, he would run ideas past me and get my input. I didn't work for the company itself, but when he retired, his son took over, and soon after that, it became Hammer Strength. With Nautilus, what I did is they had this robot that they would use to perform exercises, and they put me in place of the robot, and I helped them develop their equipment. So this was a gift that I had at birth, man. I was born with it. There was no way I was supposed to know some of the things that I knew. So it was like a gift that God had just given me, man. I knew what made the body work. I mean, with all of the exercise, with every exercise, there's a way to maximize the muscle fibers contraction. So
Mm.
you can hit and miss muscle fibers as you're working, but in order to isolate and maximize the contraction, there are focal points that you have to concentrate on to maximize that exercise, and it'll actually keep you free from injury. They would have this robot. They were probably one of the first ones to design equipment by the computer. I mean, they were really advanced for, I mean, they had some beautiful, I wish I still had some of their, as a matter of fact, I've got this huge leg extension machine in my gym that is an old Nautilus piece. Oh my goodness, man, it's the best piece of equipment I have in my gym. I love it. And they had the cams and the chains rather than
Ah, the
the
chains. Okay.
cables.
So
Yeah.
that's the yeah, you're going back like first generation, I think, right?
Man, it is amazing. I just love it. I gave the leg extension, I gave it to a friend of mine because it was just too big for my small gym because it's so long and so big it took up too much space. So I got a seated leg curl, but I love the lying leg curl. It's probably one of the better pieces for the hamstring if you're
Yeah.
competing, especially.
Nice. Did you get a chance to meet him?
Yes, I used to work with him. Yeah, we thought a lot alike. We
Okay.
had some of the same thought processes, and we got along really, really well because what we did was surrounded by the equipment.
Interesting. And now I want to touch on that as well because obviously you're preparing for a contest. Your goal is to build muscle, of course, like at that time. Were you doing the high intensity training that Arthur prescribed on his equipment, like the one set to failure, that type of training, or was that not really something you did?
Never did one set to failure. I would do sets to failure, but that wasn't like my type of training. I'll give you an example. I remember I thought, what is my limitation? I'm not limited to anything. And so I was doing 315 on squats. I did 20 reps at 315. I did 25 reps at 315. If I could see it, I could do it. I did 30 reps at 315. I did 35 reps at 315. I did 40 reps at 315. And I said to myself, what is my limitation? I did 45 reps at 315. I did 50
Wow.
reps at 315. And when I hit 50 reps, I said, I don't want to do anymore. I don't want, these were the longest sets. And at 35, it looked like failure. But I had developed the muscle in such a way that the glycogen stores were filled. And even when it looked like my last rep, I had 15 more, man. And what that does, that forces a maturity in the muscle because, they say do 3 sets of 10, it'll maximize growth. Well, what if you can use that same weight and do 3 sets of 15? What if you can do 3 sets of 20? What's my limit? So I just kept going and started developing this mature type of muscle that was similar to Albert Beckles. Man, that guy was amazing. I mean, he was one of my heroes. You could see the little peaks on his body. He
Yeah.
had peaks on top of peaks, man. Back in that day, he was one of my heroes, man.
Ah, yes. Albert Beckles, we're talking about longevity. Yeah, he had some serious longevity even on the competitive side, Albert Beckles.
And my other one was Franco Combo. Me and Franco was the same size and we weighed the same thing. We're the same height. I considered him a giant slayer, man.
Yes, absolutely.
You're bringing back a lot of memories. I don't get a chance to talk about bodybuilding as much because the world that I'm in, I deal more with business people and people
Of
that are
course.
hurting, that are in the church. And so this is This is a great conversation, man.
You've been competing for a very long time. If we're talking about the Natural Olympia within the INBA, PNBA, you were the third Natural Olympia to ever win it.
You got some history that I didn't know about, man. I thought Kiyoshi Moody won it.
Kiyoshi Moody won the Natural Olympia.